The Soshanguve Magistrate Court has charged Ufense Maluleke and Amukelani Nyalundo with 8 counts of attempted murder. The two allegedly sold pupils of the Pula Madibuho Primary School muffins laced with dagga. Parents and the Gauteng Department of Education are demanding that more charges be laid against the pair and that their bail be denied. The pair will go back in court next week. For more on this, I'm joined by Gauteng Education Department spokesperson Steve Mabona. Steve, good to have you on the program this afternoon. Firstly, can you provide us an overview of this incident involving the sale of space cookies to primary school learners? And what immediate actions were taken to indeed address the situation?
Good afternoon, Ntlantla, and to all our viewers. Yes, we were at the school since this incident occurred on Wednesday. The officials were there from both the Department of Education and Department of Health, working together, in a partnership, making sure that the situation was attended to. And moving forward, then we continued with the process of supporting the learners in the school. So on Thursday, the officials were there, including yesterday. They also went. The only challenge yesterday, we had to release learners earlier because there was no water in the area. But the support, is been, received by the officials and the schools at Soshanguve. So we are quite comforted that police investigated and they continue to investigate. So we are hopeful that more charges will be brought to the perpetrators, because we're talking 90 learners. And when they say there's about 8 charges of attempted murder, we understand that the case was postponed for further investigation, which is comforting that they will probably add more.
So we understand that 87 of the affected pupils have since been discharged from hospital. Can you share the current status of the remaining 3 pupils and also give us an update on their recovery?
Now, unfortunately, on Friday, when I think around in the afternoon, we received information that all learners were discharged, because on Friday there was only one that was still at the hospital waiting for further attention from the medical practitioners, and that was done. So we then were informed that the learner was also discharged. So we don't have anyone that is in our hospital now. What we are doing is to encourage parents to observe those children, because we understand that on Thursday, one child came to school, but apparently she was then coughing, blood, so was taken for medical attention again, and then they just need to make sure that they observe. So, and we are hopeful that the investigators will then concretize their case and make sure that we have more charges that will be put on the suspects.
So, Mr. Mabona, like you've highlighted, a case of this nature is a cause for concern. Let's speak about the reactions that we've gotten so far. How did parents as well as the community respond to this incident, and what role did they play in also identifying the street vendor who was responsible for selling the laced muffins?
No, it's quite comforting that the vendor was actually identified the same day. So police managed to late in the evening on Wednesday to arrest, and which is the swiftness that we really applaud from the department perspective. We also applaud the swiftness that came from the Department of Health. The emergency services did not even waste time. They were there. They attended the scene promptly, which is quite encouraging. So members of the community, they also marched yesterday, joined the court process, indicating that they would not allow such to happen in and around their schooling environment, which is also encouraging, because parents and the community need to stand up for this, need to make sure that they report to the law enforcement agencies so that they can then investigate. Because as a department, it will be difficult for us to be in the community. So hence we launched a school safety plan, which will then say how we're going to assist our schools, in terms of, all, things that will be assisting them in terms of making sure that there's a safety in our environment.
Now, beyond the 2 arrests, are there any ongoing investigations or even efforts to also identify others who may be involved in the sale of such substances, especially to school learners?
Yes, indeed. Police have they've assured us that they continue with their investigation, and we still feel that there's no way that it's only 2 people that are involved, but they continue with their investigation. We can't enter into that space, but what we did was to encourage members of the community to volunteer information if they have, and assist the police to actually have more evidence that will be put in the in front of the court, so that the court can take necessary decisions.
Mr. Mabona, I'm sure you'd agree with me that this also then begs the question on the measures and precautions that are being taken to also prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future, both within and around school premises.
Yes, indeed, you are correct. We work with partnerships. We encouraging parents in the form of SGBs to always work with the department, but we in this space we cannot work in silos. So that's the emphasis that we are putting to our parents, our SGB, our NGOs that we are in partnership with. We have Teddy Bear Foundation, we have the SADAC, we have actually in the police, there's NGOs that work very closely with children. And we have Childline, the number is 116. Childline 116 number must be utilized so that we know that we are safe in our schooling environment. But parents cannot allow someone that they don't know, in and around the school selling anything that might harm their children. So parents must be vigilant, and learners, the messaging must be very clear to say, you must look out for this. Do not, buy this, and they do not allow, anything that will harm you. They need to report to the school authority so that they can then, take the necessary action.
Mr. Mabona, in your view, what are the broader implications of such incidents on the safety and well-being of learners in Gauteng, and what steps are being taken to also address these concerns comprehensively?
No, we take safety of our learners and educators and anyone in our school environment serious. That's why 2 weeks ago we launched our school safety plan, which put an emphasis that we have identified about 245 schools where we see that they operate in high violent or criminal activity areas. 75 of them, we said, let's start with those schools and make sure that we give them more patrollers, give them officials that are going to be focusing on prevention of drug peddling, utilization, anything which has to do with drugs in those schools, because we can see that it's going to be a problem. The Department of Social Work, of Social Development, they confirmed that they will be giving us social workers that will be in and around our schools to support, our programs. Department of Health, they continue with their school health program, which encompasses mainly, they look at the prevention of ailments, look at the teenage pregnancy, look at any other diseases that might be in our schools or prevention thereof. Focus on that, make sure that we have a healthy child in all our schools. Make those visits to different schools where we know that they will be, unleashing those programs that will say learners are safe. So we work in a partnership, where we involve all stakeholders, including NGOs that are involved in our space, so that we can then make sure that the environment that we operate in is safe at all times.
Mr. Mabona, as we wrap up our conversation, what message would you like to reiterate for learners, parents, and the broader community regarding the importance of vigilance and also ensuring the safety and well-being of learners?
Let's communicate more. Let's share messages. let's make sure that we report anything that we see that is untoward or that will harm learners, will harm probably our educators, because we must also not forget to make sure that our educators are protected, because they are parents of our children when they are at school. So we don't need to forget that. But people will know that taking care of children, it's quite cumbersome. Also, during school holidays, parents, they can, tell you how difficult it is. So we need to make sure that our environment is safe. And let's report anything that we feel that need to be reported. Our police work very closely with us. They need information, because we can't blame police, meanwhile we don't report on criminal activities that are happening in and around our schools. I mean, if something is happening at night at a school, you know that we don't teach it at night, we don't work at night in a school. It must be suspicious enough for you to say, we see an activity in a school, what is really happening there? So that then we can take necessary, action against anyone that will be in our school environment.
That was Gauteng Education Department spokesperson Steve Mabona.